What is going on, YouTube people? Today, we are going to talk a little bit about not solely relying on these companies to protect us. This is the impetus for this is the maybe fake, probably fake, sure looks like fake Michael Jordan PMG sale that a lot of other people have done content on. I know Dan the Cardman's kind of led the charge on this one. I think Dustin's talked about it and a few other people as well. And even the buyer himself, Ben, up on the screen here, created his own YouTube channel from scratch, Fake PMG Saga. He had reached out to me. We've been talking in DMs for the past few days about this as well. And for those, like I said, this has kind of been everywhere, but I'll give you a quick rundown, if you will. Basically, this card here was listed on eBay and sold. The card in question is a red Michael Jordan, I'm going to use air quotes here, precious metal gems, one of the most sought after Jordan cards out there. It is in a Beckett authentic altered slab, which, you know, couple red flags there. The main red flags being this is a legit precious metal gems here, listed over on the PWCC site. First thing you see is precious metal gems in the top right hand corner is imprinted. That is missing on this card. The second thing that you see on the back of PMGs is the numbering. You can see it right here, 26 of 100 on the back of this card. That is missing as well. So now the buyer, Ben, I encourage you to go watch his video for the full story. He does an excellent job breaking it down as a rookie content creator. Nice work. He takes full responsibility for basically rushing into this purchase, essentially, and not doing full due diligence on this. He relied on the rails put in place from these companies that we have grown to, air quote, trust over the years. This was slabbed in a grading company slab. It was authentic altered by Beckett. He knew eBay authenticity guarantee was on the other side. So he threw in the bid that he wanted to throw in. The longer this goes on, it seems to be that this card may not be legitimate. What the internet believes has happened is basically someone pulled a fast one on Beckett. The slab is legitimate. The card, basically the consensus is at this point, if this is all on the up and up, is some sort of artist proof test run thing. That's the best case scenario here. The most likely case, and what everyone thinks had happened, is someone took a Metal Universe base card and went over it with some sort of red marker, paint, Sharpie, whatever, highlighter to give it the PMG effect. Sent it into Beckett, and Beckett labeled it as a precious metal gems authentic altered. Now, most likely Beckett made a massive mistake here that probably cost this collector north of, this card sold for $23,000. It feels like this card should have been labeled Metal Universe Michael Jordan authentic altered, because it is most likely a base card with some red touch-up work done to it. But they labeled it as a precious metal gem. And that's where things go sideways. Because the buyer, and he admits, you know, he is a more novice collector, trusted the Beckett name, slab, and brand, purchased it because of their label on there. And that's kind of the first talking point that I want to kind of get into here is, you know, the old adage, you know, buy the card, not the grade, all this stuff. You cannot rely on these companies to protect you. You have to protect yourself. And that is the main reason why I wanted to cover this, is to bring, one, the awareness to this and the potential loopholes on these things that you think are set up to protect you, the consumer, the collector, the investor, the flipper, whatever it is that you are, may not protect you as much, or may not protect you as much as you think that it does. Because in this case, Beckett messed up, most likely. The latter part of this story, this just kind of happened more recently. this card did pass through eBay Authenticity Guaranteed. We'll talk about that more in a second. Beckett reached out to the buyer, and he is going to send the card back into Beckett to review. So that is kind of where we were at in the current saga of this. The problem is that Beckett does not have an on-paper buyback guarantee. We've talked about this in the past. Beckett basically has nothing in writing in regards to what they are covered. The only two companies that actually put it in writing are PSA and CGC. SGC, Peter has been out there and said plenty of times, I will stand behind if we make a mistake. And I know I've seen DMs, I've seen messages, I've talked to people. That is the case so far. They have always stood behind if they screwed something up. I know people that have gotten paid out for that. However, it is not in writing, which means they technically don't have to. The reason why, one of the reasons why PSA gets a huge premium on high-end cards is because of that buyback guarantee. That matters to people, that you are protected. If this was a PSA slab and this happened, it would go back into the company, they would evaluate it, confirm that, and then they would reach back out to you. You might have to negotiate a little bit with them to get the number that you want. In this case, it might be pretty clear cut, but you would most likely be taken care of if it was indeed their screw up. With Beckett, it's a question mark. It is a question mark. Now, let's talk about the eBay side of things, authenticity guaranteed. Here's the problem. Authenticity guaranteed is not, in this case, for a graded card, is not evaluating the card inside the holder. That would be an impossible task for them to do when you think about it. It is so hard to grade a card in a holder. We all miss things when we look at cards in holders, crack them out, and then go, oh, wait, I didn't see that when it was in the holder, especially surface stuff. Now, in this case, it might be a little bit easier to tell. I don't know. I haven't seen the card in hand myself. But all eBay AG does is verify that what is on the slab matches the eBay listing and that the slab has no defects. Is it cracked? Is it scratched? Is it broken? Is something else weird going on with it physically? Not what's inside of it, the physical slab itself. So this gets to eBay's AG department over at PSA. They follow their checklist. This is a Beckett labeled Metal Universe, Precious Metal Gems, Authentic Altered. Here's the cert number. This was what the eBay listing was. These things all match up. There is no physical issues with the slab. No chips, no cracks, no scratches, no scuffs. Cool. We're good. It's not fair to ask them to grade or evaluate the card inside of a holder without taking it out. That is not what they are there to do, unfortunately. But as a buyer, I could see how if you didn't go in and read the fine points, read all the little bullet points and, all the I's dotted and T's crossed to figure out exactly down to the individual little things that these things cover or don't cover, how you would just assume, oh, eBay authenticity guaranteed. If this isn't authentic, cool. They'll reject it. I'm fine. I'm covered. But you're not. You're not in this case. It actually would have been better off if this card was raw. Because if it was raw, it would have went to CGC. They would have evaluated the raw card to make sure that it actually is indeed a precious metal gem or not. And it probably would have rejected if this card was raw. But because of Beckett's initial screw up, potentially, we'll see what happens when Beckett gets the card back in hand. That'll probably be the end of this story, hopefully, depending on what they do, where this goes from here. But to me, it looks like, and once again, I don't have the card in hand. I'm just going off of, what people have posted and said and people that know these cards way better than I do. And in fact, I think Dan the Card Man shared on social somewhere, it might have been Instagram, that this card was originally consigned with DC Sports 87. They initially listed it and then looked at the card again and decided to pull it and send it back to the seller. They didn't like it. They didn't feel good about it. There was something about it they didn't like, having seen the card in hand. The buyer of this card, Ben, has not got the card in hand yet. It is on its way to him. So he'll probably do an update once this kind of all flushes out and he gets it back in hand. And then it needs to ship off back to Beckett. But Ben, I got to give credit to the guy. 23K on the line is the calmest, coolest collective guy I have ever seen with $23,000 on the hook for a Michael Jordan card that could potentially be worth about $3.75, if that. So hopefully Beckett does the right thing here. Beckett, I don't know if you watch my videos or not, but this would be the best marketing you could ever spend if you publicly cut a check for $23,000 for this card. It would be the best thing you can do. You would get so much content out of that. You should send someone from Texas to wherever Ben lives. They should hold a big lottery check up like a golfer gets in Happy Gilmore and hand it off to him. Uber him to the bank to cash it, whatever the case might be. The amount of marketing you would get from that, yes, 20 grand's a big check to write. But boy, oh boy, would you get a lot of free marketing out of that. Because everybody and their brother will do videos about it. Talking about, look at Beckett. They did the right thing. They stood behind their slab. They didn't have to technically. Still a little scary. But they did the right thing and they took care of the customer because of their screw up. They bought the card back or whatever the case might be. So we'll see what happens. But the major takeaway I want you all to have, whether it's cards, comics, other collectibles, just anything in life, if you're getting ready, whatever, and maybe for Ben, this wasn't a significant amount of money. I don't know his finances. It seems like a lot to me. My wife would kill me if the card was legitimate and I spent that amount of money on something that wasn't something for her. The main takeaway from here should be, if you are dabbling in something that you are not, you're casually invested in, or you're getting ready to make a larger purchase. Maybe this will be a good talking point for a different video because I'm getting ready to make potentially a larger purchase on a collectible item. Kind of my approach to that. Really do your due diligence. Do not bank on the grading companies, eBay, or any selling platform for that matter. Just remove the players out of this altogether. A grading company and a selling platform and a manufacturer and anyone else in between, all they are going to do in most cases is look to pass the buck on to the other one. None of them most likely are going to want to take responsibility for it. Ultimately, to me, outside of the original buyer that, purchased, clicked the button to bid on this card, this is a Beckett screw up, most likely. They started the ball rolling down the hill because of the way that they labeled this and because of the trust that they have built up in the community for what their slab, brand, name, label, etc. stand for. People put faith into that, and that faith may have been broken. We'll see how this story ends. So once again, be careful out there. Stuff like this seems to be on the rise lately. And hopefully, Beckett, if you're smart, this is a huge opportunity for you to seize to get some goodwill back. Curious for your thoughts and comments, as always, down below. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.